And what do you regard as the point in which racial relations really started to deteriorate in Malaysia?
Yeah, but over the time we notice that the development of the races is not parallel to each other. It's not same. The Chinese are very enterprising, very aggressive, very dynamic, and they are used to living in very difficult conditions. To them, life is about making money through business. They are good in business. And they very quickly rose up in the hierarchy in terms of their wealth. They see opportunities, they exploit the opportunities, and they became very rich. They go into retail business, wholesale business, trading, import, export, all this they do. Unfortunately, the Malays should have followed the Chinese. But they find that when the Chinese come and they introduce better ways of doing things, the Malays retreated, they gave up on that. When I was a boy, part of my father's house was built by Malays, tukang rumah. I still remember his name, Najib. There are two of them, they built a house. And then the Chinese came. And the other part of the house, the modern part of the house was given to the Chinese because the Chinese are much better. The Malays agak-agak. The Chinese measure the beams must be like that, cut like this and all that. They are very systematic. And the Malays seeing the Chinese doing this, they retreated, they gave up on that. They themselves now call the Chinese to do it. So during the early years of this country, when under the British, all the tukangs were Chinese. Tukang kebun, tukang photography, tukang. So all the tukangs were tukang besi, tukang kayu, all of them were Chinese. The Malays used to do it, but very poor quality. They gave up when the Chinese came.
Partly was it because we had UMNO, MCA and MIC that kept the people separate instead of integrating?
No, it is the separation of the people that created UMNO, that created MCA. If you find a place where the population is mainly Malays, you have no choice but to form a Malay party because they won't support. If you go to a place where the population is mainly Chinese, you can't put a Malay candidate, it's not going to win. So the Chinese form their own party, the Malays. It is a response to the races on the ground, not the other way around. It's not the politician who created the race created the politician. I know very well that if I become a member of the MCA and I stand for election, I won't win. I won't win. But if I am a Malay, I form a Malay party, I join a Malay party, I contest in a Malay area, then I will win. The same with the Chinese. So in Malaysia, the race-based politics is due to the ground being race-based. If there is going to be a movement, it must be a movement on the ground, among the people. A political party can move, or we can forget about race, we can form a multiracial company. You go and contest, you lose. Because the ground has not changed. You are changing only the top, you don't change the bottom.
Nevertheless, in 2018, you led a coalition that stood for certain reform-based policies and won, breaking the chokehold of the BN for 64 years. What do you think that actually demonstrates on the ground of what people's desires actually were?
The situation in 2018 is unique. We have a government that is hated by everybody, by Malays, by Chinese and all that. They couldn't get rid of this government because this government used money to stay in power. What happened was that the Malays in particular would not go for the opposition because the opposition is made up of mainly non-Malays. DAP is non-Malay. Even the other parties, although they are multiracial, so the Malays cannot support that because they would be changing a Malay government for a non-Malay government. But they had to get rid of this man who has, this Malay leader who is, found guilty of crook. He's a crook. How to get rid? To get rid, you have to support the opposition. But the opposition is non-Malay, so they won't. So when we formed a party Bersatu, we injected a Malay element into the opposition. And during the election, many Malays and lots of Chinese came back because they want to get, the main purpose was to get rid of Najib, that's all, you see. They don't think about anything else. Now, for the opposition, Bersatu was given 52 seats to contest, but they won only 13 seats. When they won 13 seats, the Malay element in PH becomes very much less. The non-Malay element more. So the PH becomes a non-Malay party. Non-Malay party. It won because in 2018, the Malays supported through us, not only to vote for Bersatu, but even for DAP, for Amanah, for PKR, the Malays supported, mainly because they want to get rid of Najib. But once they won, they realized that PH is not a Malay party. So Najib pointed this out, and he says that we must have a Malay-Muslim government. Obviously, the government that defeated Najib was not a Malay government. So he made use of that and persuaded some Malays from the government party to cross over. That is what happened. In other words, all this while, Najib is playing that role. He wanted me to be out of the way. At first, he wanted me to cross over. I referred to crossover. So he picked on Muhyiddin. Muhyiddin wanted to cross over. So he supported Muhyiddin. Not because he is supportive of Muhyiddin, but to bring down the PH government. Once the PH government is down, and this new government, Perikatan Nasional, was formed under Muhyiddin, Najib's objective is to avoid being jailed. But unfortunately for him, he was found guilty and he was sentenced to 12 years jail, a fine of 210 million ringgit.
Najib, Dato Sri Najib. Were there no red flags along the way for you to understand the man's mentality? How come suddenly he becomes this way?
Of course, at that time, Najib didn't seem to be bad. I didn't know. When he was Deputy Prime Minister, he was already involved in wrong things. That was not informed. I was not informed about that. So naturally, when Abdullah stepped down, Najib took over. But very quickly, after he took over, I noticed that he was doing the wrong thing. I came back to join UMNO. In fact, I was welcomed by Najib. But I wanted to be a kind of advisor to Najib. But I found that he didn't want to listen to me. In fact, when I told him that you don't have to give money to people, you just go down, meet them, shake their hands, ask about their family, and the people in the rural areas will support you. That's what I did. I didn't give money. I didn't have money to give. But I meet the people. I have friends in the kampong, village people who are on backpacking stand with me. We go there. I mean, I'm very friendly with them. So I won the election, 2/3 majority. So I told Najib, you do that. Don't give money. His reply to me was shocking. He said, cash is king. I said, my God, this man is saying that bribery is okay. And then, of course, later on, we see how he was bribing. So at first, I didn't know his character. I thought he was a good man. But when he became Prime Minister, even when he was Deputy Prime Minister, he abused his position. I learned later.